All right, welcome to, this is session 3 of the series that we're going through. And today is how to communicate with your database in a systematic way. I'm Sydney Seymour. I have the absolute pleasure of being the regional technology trainer for the Carolinas region. And I see a lot of familiar faces that I get to hang out with and have some workshops with. So thank you guys for being here. Do me a favor, I'm going to drop a couple things in chat in just a moment, but just so we kind of have an understanding, and either answer is fine. Have you attended the previous sessions that we did on the build a database and feed it every day, or is this your first one? So either yes or no. Yes, you've attended those previously. No, this is your first one. Okay, so kind of like a mixture. This is the first one. Okay, awesome. So just as a reminder, if you weren't able to make those, first of all, know that you don't have to have attended those to be here for this. So let's make sure that everybody knows that. And on the chance that you wanted to go back and maybe watch those or kind of take a look at those, I'm going to drop in chat, and I'll do this a couple times because I know we'll have some people that are hopping on a little bit later. I'm going to drop 2 links in chat for you, and I will continue to drop those throughout. So if you don't take them immediately, that's fine. The first one is our YouTube channel for the region. All of the recordings can be found there. So anything that we teach through the region, if it's hybrid or virtual, we do have the ability to record that. And so that'll be found there. And a lot of those will be workshops such as this. They might be little like tips and tricks that we have. So feel free to jump to that YouTube channel. We'd love for you guys to subscribe. That way you can get notified when there's new stuff out there. So that's the first thing. The second link that I dropped in chat for you is also a link to our regional Facebook page. And so that is where we'll put just amazing things that you guys, the associates in the region, are doing, along with upcoming classes, either in person, virtual, or hybrid. So if you want to make sure that you're getting the most up-to-date stuff, we do the best that we can of making sure that everything is posted there. And again, I'll go in and drop those in chat throughout so that if you didn't grab them immediately, there is no problem there. You guys can grab them at any time. So we're going to go ahead and get started. And I just always like to have like just a little bit of awareness of kind of who's on the call. So if you could do me a favor and just drop in chat how long you've been in real estate. So maybe it's been hours, maybe it's been days, maybe it's been months, maybe it's been years, but how long have you been a real estate agent? If you're just going to do me a favor and drop that in chat, just so that we know. 4 years, awesome. We've got some 5 years in there, less than a year, 1 year, 7 years, licensed for 16 years, Barbara, that's incredible. Hours, this is Julie working with the team. Okay, welcome, Julie. Hours, we're happy to have you here. 13 years, 4 years, wow, since 2014. Okay, so we've got a really good group of people that you guys have a lot of experience. 6 months. Okay, excited to see all of you guys here. So here's what we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about how to systematically follow up with every single person in your database. We are going to backtrack just a little bit before I start to share the screen. In session 1, we talked about the importance of building a database. And we talked about the importance of building a database and really having the true data. So less of just having, this is their first name, I think this is their email address, I don't know if they still live at this home address, and this is the phone number I had for them, but really having the data of where do they currently live? Do they have kids? Do they have pets? Knowing all of those details. Are they a previous buyer, previous seller? How do you even know them? So maybe you work with them on the PTA for your kid's school. Maybe you volunteered with them. Maybe they're a family member, but really having that data. That's what we talked about in session 1. In session 2, we talked about feeding your database every day. And so really, what does it look like in your business if you were to just add, let's even say 2 contacts a day to your database? What does that look like? And really the hows of doing that. We're going to talk about command heavily today. We're going to jump into that in just a moment. Remember that there is also the command app. So as you're adding contacts to your database, you can easily do that on the go. That's available through both iPhone and Android devices. And it's this KW command. Username and password is going to be exactly the same. You've got really, really nice functionality there. What we're going to talk about today is how you can systematically continue to communicate with the people in your database so that you stay top of mind when they need to buy, sell, or invest in real estate now or in the next 5 to 8 years, Or when someone asks them, hey, I need a real estate agent. Who's the one that you used? You said you had really great success with them. I'd love to have their information, so that they're always thinking of you. When they think of local real estate, they think of you and they think of your business. And so while I'm just getting ready to share my screen, I'm going to pull up the slide deck. What I'd love for you guys to do, just one more thing that I'm going to have you for now drop in chat, is just the area that you work in. Because one of my favorite things is being able to be with all of you. We're spread out obviously over 2 states. And so I love that these classes can potentially help with referral partners. So if you guys want to just drop in chat where you are, and then you might see like, oh, someone here is from Hilton Head. I need a Hilton Head agent. So feel free to connect with them as well. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and get started. I'm going to share my screen. Again, my name is Sydney Seymour. I'm the regional technology trainer for the Carolinas region. We are recording this. I'll be sure to drop links in chat for that as well. And we're going to go ahead and jump on in. And this is your time. Thank you guys so much for being here. Feel free to ask any questions that you would like. Either feel free to unmute yourself if you're comfortable with that, or feel free to drop in chat. I'm going to pull that up and I'm going to have that over to the side so I can make sure that I'm taking a look at that. All right, so let's go ahead. We're just going to pull this up and get into slideshow mode here. Bear with me 1 second. All right, perfect. And I'm just going to move some things around so I can make sure that I can see the chat if you guys have any questions. Perfect. All right, so welcome to session 3, communicate with your database in a systematic way. We're talking about how to build $1 million database, or honestly, potentially $1 billion database, just depending on who you have in there and how you're communicating with them. So today we're going to start with a question. What would happen to your business if you just stopped communicating with your database? And feel free to either unmute and we can have a discussion around this, or if you want to drop what you think would happen in chat. But if you just there were no emails being sent out, there was no phone calls being made, there was really nothing happening where we were constantly communicating with them, what would happen? Yeah, so Terry, it would probably slowly go away. You're probably right, because we would probably still have those people that maybe were making the outbound calls to you because they remember you and you're top of mind with them. But it would slowly go away. You would be out of the business. Yeah, so we need to make sure that we're constantly communicating with our database. And if we can go back just a little bit to building that database from the beginning, the importance of that and knowing so much detail about the people in your database is so, so important, because by us knowing how we know them and where they live and all of those different things, we can know the best way to communicate to them. See, what we're going to talk about today is going to be a lot of one-to-one communication rather than one-to-many. So rather than saying, here's what's happening in all of this area, saying, here's what's happening in your local market. And so really having awareness of that is so, so important. So I thought I'd kind of do something fun. I want us to all plan a vacation together, and I'm going to just create a poll real quick. We're going to launch this poll, and I'm going to give you guys a little bit of a chance, and there's no wrong answer here, but we're going to plan a vacation together. So over on the left is the vacation. If you want to vote and you say you want to go to the beach, then you're going to pick the beach. Over on the right is a beautiful mountain as well. And so if we want to go on a mountain vacation, you're going to pick that. So I'll give it about maybe 10, 15 more seconds. We've got some nice polls coming in here. We've got like 70% of you that have participated. Oh, 80% already. Okay. And it's, I wish I could tell you it was close, but it's not really looking like it's very close. It's looking like the beach is going to win, you guys. So we are going to with 90% participation. So thank you. We're going to end that poll. And the results are 85% of you want to go to the beach, and 15% of you want to go to the mountains, which is okay, but we're going to plan a vacation and we're going to go to the beach. So thank you guys for playing along with that. I'm going to pull chat up again. So let's say that we were going to the beach, and I'm just going to use Amazon as an example, but I know that you might shop other places, either in person or, online. Let me have you do this for me. If we were planning a beach vacation, that's where we're going, and we need to buy a couple of last minute items for that beach vacation, what kind of last minute items would you want to shop on Amazon for? So just do me a favor and let's see what you guys would shop for. Just drop that in chat. So what are some things that if we were going to this beautiful beach vacation, What would we potentially be looking on Amazon for? What are some things that maybe we need to purchase? Okay, so Joyce, yes, me, sunscreen, 1000%. Beach towels, we would definitely want to purchase. Some beach chairs we would want to purchase. I'll give it just a couple more minutes. Oh, okay. Danielle, I like that. That thing to put your phone in and protect it from the elements. So like that kind of little packing thing, you're like, I still have to be working, right? I'm a real estate agent, so I still need my phone. So some different things like that. We'll see what else is coming in, some other things. But so far we've got definitely some chairs. I see that multiple times, towels, sunscreen, the thing to put your phone in, some different things like that. Bathing suits. Karen's being very funny. She's saying that we're going to maybe go to the doctor for some liposuction prior to this. So we're shopping for some things on Amazon. Okay. Now I want you to imagine that we looked on Amazon and we looked for all of these different things. So we were like, okay, I'm going to look for beach towels. I'm going to look for sunscreen. I'm going to look for all of these things. And maybe we buy one of the things. So maybe we looked at 5 or 6 things and maybe we purchase one of them, or maybe quite frankly, we don't even purchase any of them. And let's say maybe a day later, 2 days later, a week later, we get an email from Amazon, or we get some sort of special thing of, hey, wanted to let you know that beach towels are buy one, get one free. Just drop your response in chat for me. Is that a good touch by Amazon? So the fact that you didn't buy anything, but they reached out to you later and said, hey, this specific item that you were looking at is now buy one, get one, or it's 10% off, or it's such of these things. Yeah. Okay. So everybody's saying yes to that. Now, on the other side, if we got an email from them 10 days later that said, hey, snow boots are 5% off and we thought you might want to know, is that as effective of a touch? Just drop a yes or no in chat for me. We were only looking at things for our vacation to the beach. We get some sort of email from them. Yeah, not so much, right? So I think this is teaching us that not all communication can be good communication, right? Meaning if we put this into real estate terms, meaning let's say that we have people in our database that are first-time home buyers. And let's say we have another group of people in our database that are investors, and they've used us in the past to buy 15 different homes. If there's a new program out there for first-time home buyers and we send that to the investor, that's not so great of a touch, because it just feels to the investor like, oh, well, they just sent this out to everybody that they know, and they're not even really paying attention to how I've used them in real estate before. So we're going to talk about some ways that you can communicate and systematically communicate with your database. But the biggest takeaway that I really want you to get from this is in our system, which is Command, it doesn't have to be a one size fits all. And the more data that we know about the contacts in our database, the easier it can be for us to say, okay, I need to be sending them this or communicating with them this way versus communicating with them in a different way. All right, so bear with me because we're going to talk about how we can actually go in and we can systematize this using Command. So I'm going to actually just pull up Command and I'm going to move a couple things around. And let me just get my nice little mouse on here so you can see where I'm pointing. And then if you could just do me a favor and either drop a yes in chat or give me a thumbs up if you're able to see my Command screen. It should say welcome home Sydney right up here at the top. Yes, awesome. Thank you guys so much. And let me just go into my personal account. And so this is Command, which is our all-in-one platform where we can manage your entire business. What we're going to really be talking about today are smart plans. So while I'm pulling this up, if you guys could just do me a favor, and again, I'm going to continue to go to chat for this, just a yes or a no. Have you ever used a smart plan in your business? So yes or no in the chat. Have you ever used a smart plan in your business? Okay, so we have some that have not. We've got a lot of yeses. We've got some occasionally around that. Okay, awesome. So we're going to really talk about best practices today for smart plans, because that is how you can effectively communicate with your database in a systematic way. So we're going to talk about best practices for smart plans. We're going to talk about how to easily kind of just have this all-in-one thing that we can use for different groups or tags of people. And then we're also going to talk about how you can see who's actually reading your smart plan emails and who's looking at them and why we might want to know that data. So we're going to go ahead and jump in. So I'm going to, first and foremost, I've just logged into Command prior to me starting the workshop with all of you guys. The website for Command is agent.kw.com. You're going to use a username and a password that only you know, and you're going to log in, and then that's going to give you access to Command. I mentioned this previously. There is also a Command app. You can use it anytime. Same username, same password, and that's going to gain access for you on the go. And it has some really, really nice functionality there, specifically around today's topic, the ability to add a smart plan or a contact rather to a smart plan on the go really, really easily. So we're going to jump into smart plans. So at any time, if you're in Command and you're not like super familiar with what all of these icons over here stand for, you can always click into the red box right here. That allows you to open up that menu right there, and we can see everything listed. So we're going to go into smart plans. And so while that's loading, I know there's a handful of you that don't use smart plans that often or haven't used them. In other platforms, if maybe you're joining us and you used a different system or a different platform in the past, you might have heard these referred to as like drip campaigns or follow-up campaigns. We just call them smart plans. And so smart plans can be a mixture of a bunch of different things. So smart plans can be task reminders. So think of that as you need to make a phone call to someone. Smart plans can also be an email. So that could be an automatic email that goes out. And then smart plans can also be text messages. Now that is using a third-party company, which is called Twilio. There is an additional fee for that uses credits, and you can essentially sign up through the KW Marketplace. If you would like to have a Twilio account, it's going to be a third-party number, so a different phone number than your cell phone that you use, but that will allow you to send out automatic text messages through any smart plan that you're using. So the first thing that you might notice when you go into your smart plans is you have your people plans, and then right up here at the kind of top section up here, you have library.
Sorry about
that. Now, if you've never created or used a smart plan, you'll notice that when you go into my library, this might all be empty and you don't have any smart plans yet. So the cool thing about smart plans is you've got this full library that you can choose from. And we are not saying like, here's the smart plans that you have to use. Here's the only smart plans that you have. So if you've never used a smart plan before, again, you just won't have anybody or any smart plans rather in your smart plan library, but we can go into the library and search for them at any time. So that's where we're going to start. We're going to come right up here to the library. And then I want to hear from you guys. So in chat, and we'll kind of see maybe if we have some that are around the same kind of thing. What's maybe a lead generation source that you would want to have a follow-up plan for? And that could be something like an open house. It could be a client event. It could be internet lead gen. It could be, you know, anywhere that you're kind of getting leads. So what's a way that you're potentially getting leads? And we would want to have some sort of follow-up plan for that. So I do see open house so far, agent referrals, homeowner workshop. I love that idea. Facebook leads. Let's see if we can get like one more vote for one of these, and then we'll go with what the vast majority of people have said. Okay, I do see another open house, so we're going to go down that path, but add in here any of these and we would search for things the same way. So I just like to always kind of have a story in a way that we're going to go through this. So what I've done so far is I've just gone to the library. And you'll notice that up here, I have the ability to search. That's where we're going to come back. I do have also featured smart plans. These are some of the smart plans that we just find have been used or downloaded the most by associates. So like this one is a long-term nurture. It says stay top of mind by scheduling regular check-ins with your contacts over the span of 6 months. There's 8 steps. It was written by Marty Miller, who's also an RTT out of the Texas area. And it has been downloaded 15,000 times, so it's used by a lot of associates. The next section here are Keller Williams designed smart plans. So these are smart plans that have been created by the marketing team with Keller Williams. And you'll see we've got a quarterly call plan. A lot of you are probably really familiar with that. That's essentially just going to tell you to call everybody in your database every 90 days. We've got midterm nurtures. We've got all of these different things. And then down here, we're going to have top rated smart plans and what's new smart plans. Top rated are going to be some of the ones that, again, have been downloaded a lot, or we've got a 5-star rating from a lot of associates. And then what's new, this is always going to be the ones that's like created in the last few seconds or the last few minutes. So these are any that have been created and published within the last probably hour or so. This updates very, very frequently. What I see with a lot of associates is there's a lot of smart plans to pick from. And so I would urge you to focus more on quality of the smart plan versus just the quantity of just having a bunch of smart plans. So an exercise that I might recommend is for you to look at your business, maybe just for this year, for 2022, and to look back and to figure out, okay, where has the vast majority of my business come from? And to really write down like those, we generally find that most agents have anywhere from like 3 to 5 lead sources. And I just really quickly in the chat kind of asked, what's a lead source that you would want to follow up? And we see that there's like 5 to 6 different ones. The path that we're going to go down is for open house, but some of you might be watching this and say, I've been in real estate for 14 years and I've never hosted an open house. That's fantastic. I don't believe that then you need an open house smart plan. Some of you might say, I see something here, Facebook leads. I've been in business for 5 years and I've never done anything on Facebook and I don't even like social media. Then you probably don't need a Facebook lead smart plan. So the biggest thing, and the confusion or the overwhelmingness sometimes happens because we just go in and we see all of these smart plans and we add them all. So take the time to figure out what are the 3 to 5 lead sources or buckets of where I'm getting my business that I need to make sure I'm following up. And that could be agent referrals. That could be previous buyer and seller referrals, open houses, internet lead gen. Like there's a whole list, but you probably don't have 20 of them. You probably have 3 to 5. So we can figure that out. And then one of my favorite ways to kind of actually look for smart plans is to use this search bar at the top. So you'll see I've got a search field right up here. And then to the right, I can search by the smart plan name. I can search by the author name, or I can search by the description. So smart plan name is really easy. If we have a feeling that we know what it's called, we can search that way. Author name is really nice because any Keller Williams associate can create a smart plan and then choose to publish that to the library. You never have to. It's an additional step that you can do if you would like to. So an example is we just had Mega Camp back in September. And there was a mega agent from the stage and said, oh, I get a ton of my business from Facebook leads. And I get so much that I created a smart plan that I published to the library for following up with Facebook leads. So if you saw him or someone like that and you said, oh, I want to use that smart plan, you could come in here and say, I want to search by author name. And then you could say, okay, this is the author name. It's the agent's name. And then you could pull in their smart plan. The other way that we can search, which is probably what you're going to use the most if we don't know the true smart plan name or we don't know the author name, is just the description. And so we could really take any of these examples that you guys posted in chat and we could search using that description. So the path that we're going to go down together is around an open house. So we've picked description is what we're going to search by. And then we're just going to type open house and you'll see anything that has that in the description is going to come up as a smart plan that we can then use. Now let's actually take a look at what this is showing us on each of the pages here. So first thing that we want to look at is right here. This is the name of the smart plan, open house follow-up. This is the description, reach out to a lead that someone acquired via an open house. Down here, it can tell us when this was published. So this was published a while ago. This is a KW smart plan, how many downloads it has and what the average rating is. Now down here, this is telling you there's 15 steps that happen in this smart plan. The duration is for 20 days. So this is going to be less than a month of a smart plan that's going to run. And the touches are 7 touches. That means 7 things that you're doing to potentially reach out to these people. Now I can come down here and say, I actually want to view the steps. I want to be able to see what this smart plan looks like in more of a detail before I just say I want to add it. So I'm going to click on view steps, and then you'll see it walks me through what everything is. So the first one is it's going to send a text, and it's going to tell me exactly what that text is. Now, remember, the text service that we link up with for this is Twilio, which you can set up through the KW Marketplace if you'd like to create a Twilio account. Then it's going to wait a day, and then it's going to say, you need to send a nice to meet you at the open house email. Now we could do an automatic email if we wanted to, or we could do, this is more of a task because we want to do like a one-to-one, just an email to them. Then it's going to wait 2 days, and then it's going to tell you to make a phone call. Then it's going to wait 3 days. It's going to send another text. Then it's going to wait 4 days. It's going to prompt you to make another phone call. And then it's going to wait 3 days, send another text, 4 days, some sort of touch task, 3 days, and then it's going to add them to another smart plan, which is a follow-up smart plan that just kind of continues for that. So if we liked this smart plan and we say, oh, that's something that I want to use in my business, all we would do is click add smart plan, and then it's going to tell you this is a bundled smart plan. It contains multiple plans. Download all its contents to get started. So essentially it's going to use open house follow-up, monthly neighborhood nurture, which is another smart plan, and long-term nurture. So that's the cool thing about smart plans, is we can almost stack smart plans on other smart plans. And I'll show you like a kind of deeper example of that. And so if we say, okay, yep, I like all of those, I would just click download on this one because it knows I'm having to stack and download multiple smart plans. And then once I've done all of those, it would allow me to download it. It's not allowing me because I actually already have the smart plan in my library and it's recognizing that, but I'd be able to click download, and then that smart plan would now be added to my library. Now, let's say that after looking at those steps, I'm like, I don't know if I love that open house follow-up. I want to take a look at this one down here. I can do the same thing. So I can click on view steps, see all the steps there, and add that smart plan to my library. So again, first thing that we're doing is going into the actual library and looking at the steps, seeing what it is, seeing if it makes sense, and seeing if we want to add that to our library. I'm going to pull one that I don't believe I have in my library just so I can show you guys what this looks like. So we're going to pick this one because I don't think I have that. Nope. So we're going to, oh, actually I do have it. Hang on. So we're going to add another smart plan. Do this one and then download. Okay, perfect. So I just added that smart plan. It's called the Post Open House Follow-Up Smart Plan. I added that one to my library, and now I can use it for any of my contacts that I want. So I'm going to move out of here and I'm going to go back to the library. And then at the top of the page, I'm actually just going to go into my smart plans. And this is the smart plan that I just added, my Post Open House. So any questions from anyone, either feel free to unmute or drop it in chat. Any questions on just how to search for a smart plan in the library and add that smart plan to your library? Don't see anything in chat, so it looks like we're good. Okay, so we're just going to kind of like forge ahead here together. Now, let's say that I added this smart plan to my library, and while I liked a lot of the steps, there were just some of the emails or some of the wording that it just didn't feel authentically me, right? Because that's the thing. We started talking with this about how we need to make sure that like it's that one-to-one communication, or that it sounds like you, that it doesn't just look like this mass email that you're sending out and kind of spamming people with. So you'll notice I've got all of these smart plans in here. The one that I just added is this one right here, the Post Open House. And let's say that I want to take a look at this and maybe I want to make some edits or changes to this smart plan because it just doesn't sound like me, or I want to like move some things around. We can very easily do that. So when I come in here, I've got the Post Open House Smart Plan. If I follow this all the way over to the right, you're going to have a little pencil. And if I hover over that, it tells me that that's the edit button. And then once I click edit, it takes me into where these are like the building blocks of the smart plan. So you'll see right here, the first step is that it's going to send a text. But maybe you're like, well, when I have an open house, I actually prefer the first step to be a phone call rather than a text. So I'm good with the text, but I want the phone call to happen first, or maybe I want to change the wording of the text or something like that. All of these are steps that you can completely customize. So down here where it says, hi, contact first name, If you were sending that to me and I was a contact in your database, it would say, hi, Sydney. It was great meeting you at the open house. Did you have any follow-up questions that I can answer? And then this is first name, last name. That's going to be your agent first name. And then we would make this agent last name. And then Keller Williams Realty. So maybe I realize like, nope, that's actually contact last name and that's not correct, or I want to make some changes. I can come right here and I can add any of these fields right here. So like agent last name, that's just a merge field and it's going to pull that in. And then maybe I'm going to put like your Keller Williams Market Center here. And then maybe I'm going to say, feel free to text or call anytime. And I'm going to put your phone number there. So I can add whatever I'd like here and completely customize anything. So that's what's really cool is you can use a smart plan exactly as it is, or you can come in and say, remove some steps, change some steps, customize it as much as you would like. Same thing down here. So right here, we've got send email. We want to make sure if we're using someone's smart plan that we've added from the library, we always take a look at it before we just send it, because right down here, this is probably not anybody on this call. So this is the agent that created this smart plan. This is their website and this is their phone number. So we definitely wouldn't want that. And we also don't want their app. So we need to make sure if we're pulling in smart plans that other agents have created, that we're just doing due diligence and looking and seeing and making sure contact information is correct. So I won't actually take the time to change all that. We'll just get rid of it. And then we would add my information there. And then it's going to set a delay. So it's going to wait 1 day and then send another email. But maybe we actually say, I don't want to do it so quickly to it. I actually want to wait like 3 days. We can do the same thing. We can come in here and we can change that and say, this is going to be due in 3 days. And then again, we can go down, continue to look at everything here, continue to make sure everything is how we want it to be. And then once we've done that and taken a look at it, there's always going to be this big blue button that's going to say save right up here at the top right. So we're just going to hit save, make sure we've made all of those changes. And then the smart plan as we created it will be available in our library. Now the
Cindy,
yes.
I have a question.
Sure.
Hi.
Hi.
I wanted to know if you do that, like if you change the day, say on the first step or the second step, do you then have to change the subsequent days for the rest of the steps, or will the system automatically adjust?
Great question. The system will automatically adjust. So none of these steps come before this step has happened. So,
okay, so they keep if I, in number 3, I don't know how to properly read that, but let's just say it has 3 days delay.
yes.
And then on the 4th day, it'll start this. But let's say I want to make that a 5-day delay.
Okay.
And then, okay, so it automatically adjusts to the right with the next step.
Correct.
Gotcha. Wish I had known earlier.
No, great question.
That is great.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, great question.
I've always been hesitant to adjust that because I'm like, well, what if that just throws everything else off? So
yeah. It won't throw anything off. The only difference there, so let's say Lisa, you're in my database, and then let's see who I have up here. And then let's say Rick is in my database. Let's say I added Rick to this smart plan when I first started running it, and there was only a 1-day delay here. Rick would have gotten that email within that 1 day. But then let's say that I come in and make the change and I've added you would then get it after that 5-day delay. So it's only if someone has gone through that portion already that it would be different for them.
If you change the order of the touches, do you have to like rename it or give it another name or something like that?
Great question. So it'll tell you, I don't have to rename it. I just have to come in, I can drag and drop and do whatever I would like. It's just, again, if we already have someone on the smart plan and they've already received that one touch, they potentially would then get the same touch again if we move that around. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. So I would just, as much as you can, take the time to go in and look at it before you're adding people to it, just to make sure it's really how you want it to be presented.
Okay, thank you.
Of course, great questions. So one of my favorite things that you can do with smart plans, we're going to continue down this path of open houses. So again, I see that in chat, like we had lots of responses of how you're getting leads or how you're finding contacts, or how you want to communicate with them. But if we continue down the path of open house, something really, really cool that you can do is you can add what we call a trigger event to any smart plan. And so if I click right here where it says add trigger event, a box is going to pop up and say, please select the category and trigger event that would start this smart plan. The only category I can pick is contacts, and the only trigger event that I can pick is tags. But then I can select the tag. So if I already have a tag created, I'm going to just come in here and I'm going to search for open house. And so you'll notice right there, I can search by any tag and I'm going to pick that. And then I'm going to say choose trigger. And then here's what happens. It means that as soon as I have a contact and I tag them with this tag, it's immediately going to deploy this open house smart plan. So I don't have to come in and say, okay, let me find this contact, let me add them to the smart plan. The system's going to do it for me. So I want you to think back a little bit. We talked about the command app because this is really, really powerful. So imagine that you were hosting an open house, and I'm going to imagine that Steve comes into the open house and I meet Steve and I get his contact information and I have the command app and I add all of Steve's details as a new contact in my command app. And I tag Steve as open house. Steve leaves the open house and within 5 minutes, he's potentially getting an email from me saying, thank you so much for stopping by the open house. It was a pleasure to meet you. Wanted to make sure that you have my contact details. And it immediately deploys that smart plan just by you adding that tag to that contact. So I'm always curious if you guys don't mind just in chat dropping a yes or a no. Were you familiar with tag triggers? Did you know that you could do that with smart plans? And we'll just see what we, okay. So some of you, yes, but the vast majority, no. This is like an absolute game changer, you guys, because previously, like I had to come in, I know it's just 1 to 2 things, but anytime that we can get away from manual stuff, it's just so much nicer. So any smart plan can use a tag trigger. So again, like we could have a tag trigger if we were running Facebook ads, we could say, okay, anybody that is tagged Facebook, immediately deploy this smart plan. You could do the same thing. I have a smart plan that I created that's called a post-closing smart plan. So you could literally, I could have a closing today. I could tag that person as closed or, you know, whatever tag I want to decide, and it would immediately deploy that smart plan. So some really, really cool stuff that you can do with tag triggers just to ensure and to really systematize the follow-up with that. So we talked about tag triggers. We talked about going in and pulling in a smart plan from your smart plan library. Now I want to talk about, and I'm going to go through this relatively quickly because I don't want you to feel like you have to do this, because we've looked at the library and we see how many smart plans are out there. So I'm not a fan of building, you know, from scratch and having to reinvent the wheel. However, I always want to make sure that I'm showing you the ability of everything that you have to do within Command. So I'm still just in my smart plan library. I've got all of my smart plans right here. I want to show you that up here at the top right, you do have this create button, and you can create a complete custom smart plan. So we're just going to call this November test plan. And I'm going to choose apply. And then, like I mentioned, we're not going to spend like too much time on this, but I just want to show you over on the right are all of the different actions that you can have in a smart plan. So I can create a task. I can say I need to make a phone call. I can send an email. I can send a text. I can set a delay. I can add them to another smart plan, or I can just restart the smart plan. They have down here at the bottom tips and rules. So just some best practices for creating that custom smart plan. And you'll see you've got like all of these different things that you can kind of go through there. So these are literally like building blocks. So I might say that the first thing that I want to happen is to send an email. I can click on send email. Everything is blank here. It has the ability for you to completely fill it out. We can do a simple email, which has the ability to just be text and some links, or I could pull in a design and I could select designs from KW. So like work with me as a buyer, or a newsletter, or promote your app, or different things like that. So you can completely customize and choose those as well. We can also come in, again, they're just building blocks. So if then I said I wanted to set a delay, I could set a delay of 5 days. Then I can come in and say, then I want to make a phone call. I would fill in the actual phone call. I could even put the dialogue or conversation that I want to have here. All this will show up through the tasks. So again, once we've made all of these changes, we can just hit save at the top of the page. And then that would be a smart plan that's only available to you in your library, unless you decided that you wanted to at some point publish it to the library. So again, I didn't want to spend a ton of time on how to actually create a custom smart plan. I just want you to know that you have the ability to do it, but please start with what you have really at your fingertips first, because a lot of it is really going to work for everything that you need in your business. So let's move over to the easiest way, I believe. Oh, it's a great question. Is there a way to take smart plans out of your library? There is. So the same way that I add them, if I come in here to my people plans and I come right over here, I can click on the 3 dots and I can delete the smart plan. So I'm going to say yes, delete. The only way I wouldn't be able to do this is, let me find a smart plan that I have people on. Okay, right here, see, I've got this 2 little eyeballs that allows me to see the contacts, but these are the contacts that are on a smart plan. If I click on the 3 dots, I can't delete it because it's an active smart plan that I have people on. So I need to just go in and take them off or unsubscribe them from the smart plan, and then I could delete that completely. Great question. So I'll show you, because there's different ways. So I have this smart plan right here. Over under actions, I do have the ability to add contacts to a smart plan this way. I just kind of feel like as I start to get a lot of contacts, this can be kind of a cumbersome way of coming in and adding people to the smart plan. So I'm actually going to show you my personal preference of how to add contacts to a smart plan. And that's actually through the contacts applet. So the contacts is what looks like just the little person, the silhouette of that. And I'll show you some of my favorite ways to do this. So let's say that I have a tag and I have an old smart plan and I want to add everybody to that one smart plan that is associated with this one tag. I can come in and I can filter by anything. So again, we're just looking at your entire database here. So maybe I say, I want to take everybody that has this one specific tag, and I'm going to pull up just a tag that I use. And then I'm going to apply that tag. And then you'll see it's going to show me there's 43 people that have that tag associated. So maybe I say, okay, I want to add all of these people to a smart plan. I'm going to come in here. I can select all by just picking the checkbox that's in that gray banner. So I'm going to click that, and then you see it tells me right here, I've selected 43 people. I can also come in and pick and choose. So maybe I want to say, I want to add Andy, I want to add Bethany, and I want to add Billy, but everybody else, I don't need to add them. And then it tells me I've selected 3. As soon as I select one person, at least, I'm going to have this select bulk action. And one of those options is going to be add to smart plan. These are alphabetical by the action. So I'm going to say, I want to add these contacts to the smart plan. And then I'll have every single smart plan that I have in my library right here. I can search for a smart plan up here as well. But let's just say it's the first one. I want to choose that. I'm going to say select. And then I've got a couple options here. So one is to start all now. So this is going to say, okay, immediately within like 5 minutes, the smart plan is going to deploy. Start on the following date. So if I'm like, okay, I want to kind of like actually start it tomorrow, it just makes more sense. I can push that out. And then this is one of my favorite ones. If you're adding a lot of people to the same smart plan, and the smart plan is very task or phone call heavy. So an example of that would be one of the really great smart plans is a quarterly call smart plan. So let's say that you have 100 contacts in your database and we add all of them right now. And in 90 days, you're going to get a task to make a phone call. Who in here, just drop a yes or no in chat. Who in here wants to have to call 100 people in 90 days? So just yes or no. Do you want to have to call 100 people in 90 days? Yeah, Barbara, I am with you. Like that's going to be a task that is too great for me. And quite frankly, I'm just not going to do it, right? Because I'm going to be like, I'll get to 5 or 6 and I can't continue. So one of my absolute favorite things is the ability to stagger the start over the next few days. And so it says staggering allows you to distribute when the SMART plan starts for a large group of people. You can choose to start the SMART plan for X amount of people per business day until all are added to the SMART plan. The example is if you add 11 contacts to a SMART plan and stagger 4 per day, then the SMART plan would activate for 4 contacts today, 4 tomorrow, and 3 on the 3rd day, because then we would have hit that 11 mark. So let's go back to the example. I have 100 contacts in my database. I'm maybe comfortable calling 10 a day. It's going to take me 10 days to get through those activities because it's going to just portion it off at 10 a day. And that's going to be random. So it's no rhyme, no reason, just randomly for that. So I can say, okay, my maximum number of contacts per day is 2. I'm comfortable doing that. And then I would just hit confirm, and then it would deploy immediately with that. So this is, again, the stagger start is really, really good if it's a SMART plan that is activity heavy of tasks that you have to manually do. Like maybe it's a client appreciation event and you're like, oh, I want to write a handwritten note to everybody. And I had 300 people that came. You're not going to write 300 handwritten notes in, maybe you are, I'm not in one day going to write 300 handwritten notes, but I might be able to say, yeah, I could write 12. And so I'm going to stagger start with that. So you can do this depending on what SMART plan you're running. A lot of them you can say, just start them all now. It's just an email SMART plan. I'm comfortable with that. So, oh, sorry, question?
Yes, I'm sorry to interrupt. I
No,
just
you're
have
okay.
a question. I am a fairly new agent, and like everybody that is going into my database now, I am contacting them. But for the new year, I was like, okay, I need to start them on a 36 touch. So do you have like a system for that, tagging people so that the stagger thing sounds like that would work, but how do you tag them so that all of that works together?
Yeah. So if you go into the SMART plan library and search for 36 touch, there's a bunch in there that you can choose from and add to your library. So I would always say, don't feel like you have to build your own because there's some in there. And then I would maybe have a tag called 36 touch. And then you could even add that as a trigger to the SMART plan so that when you tag them as 36 touch, it's going to immediately deploy on that SMART plan. Does that answer your question?
I think so.
Okay. If it doesn't, let us know.
Okay.
So I believe that adding contacts to the SMART plan through the contacts applet is significantly easier. I could even come in and pick all of my contacts and add all of them to a SMART plan. And again, I just have different options there, which I think is nice. Final thing that I want to show you guys, and I think that this is a little bit of like a kind of kept secret. So I'm hoping that I can show some of you this for the first time. We're going to actually go into reports. And so just do me a favor, drop in chat if it would be valuable for you to be able to actually see who's opening the emails in your SMART plans. So just a yes or no in chat. Would that be valuable? Yeah, I think so too, right? So let's talk about how we can figure that out. So if I come in here and I go into reports, which just looks like the little bar graph, I can click right into that. And this is where all the great numbers and data live for your command platform. What we're going to take a look at is we're going to come right over here. We've got all these tabs at the top. One of them is emails. And so we're going to go into emails, and you'll notice it's broken down by the month and also by the applet. So I've got a drop down right here. It can show me all applets. It can show me campaigns, or it can show me SMART plans. Okay. Then it can show it to me for the month. So I haven't sent out any emails in the month of November, so that's why you're not seeing any data there. So I could go back to October, and you'll notice it's going to have some really nice metrics there. So it's going to show me the total number of emails that are sent. It's going to show me down here delivery and engagement. So it's going to show me what % were delivered, what % were undelivered, what % were opened, what percent were clicked on. So that would be if your smart plan had, or an email campaign had some sort of link in there that could be clicked on. That could be a video, that could be a link to something. That means that they clicked on something, if they replied to you, and if they unsubscribed. And then directly underneath that, I can see the numbers. So right here is the percentage, underneath is the actual numbers. And then under the numbers, I can view details, and it's going to show me all of the contacts that clicked on a link in that specific email. So you can see all of that for the month. And so what I kind of think of this as is, especially for you guys that we talked about leads, right? So like a lead from an open house, online lead, anything like that. If I see that they're clicking on something, I might say, okay, this is someone I want to call, because they're not unsubscribing. They're actually opening it. They're actually clicking through something. So do yourself a favor. And when you really start to utilize smart plans and send out the emails, just come in here every so often and take a look at reports and look at the visibility of what you're able to see through here. So again, we got here just by going to reports and then clicking into emails at the top, picking the month that we want to look at. And then if we want to look at campaigns, smart plans, or all of them together. And they are broken down. Campaigns is that purple color. Smart plans is going to be more of that orange color. And you'd be able to see that through there as well. So I'm going to pause for just a second. I am going to drop in chat because I know a couple of you had to jump on just a little bit late, and that's completely fine. I'm going to drop 2 links in chat for you guys. One is the link to our YouTube channel. That's where this recording will be held. I usually try to do it by end of day. And then if you missed previous classes, those will also be there. And then also a link to the regional Facebook page. And so that's where we'll put upcoming classes as well. I did want to note we've got one final class in this series of tactics to build $1 million database. I did have to change the time of that. So if you saw the marketing pieces prior, we did just have to move that up a little bit because I'll be traveling. So the next class on this series will be Tuesday, December 6th. So we're just doing one of these a month. So Tuesday, December 6th, and that'll be at 10 a.m. I'll make sure we get a Zoom link out that for you guys. I'll send anybody that registered for this session the recording of this with the details for the upcoming class. And that will be all about following up with all of the leads that come your way from the communication. So again, looking at who's a lead that's reaching out to us, how are we following up effectively? So it'll just put kind of a nice bow on this series that we've been working on together. So I'm just going to stop share real quick and just see if there's any questions or anything that wasn't answered or anything that you guys wanted to discuss. I will pause the recording. Thank you guys so much for being here. And if we can help in any way, please let us know. Thanks, everyone.